Yeah, I'm Max Cohen. I'm the head of mobile at Oculus. As you can see, we've got Gear VR, which we launched in early December. It's the Innovator Edition, so it's designed mainly for developers, tech enthusiasts, and early adopters. But we're really excited about it because it's an untethered form of VR, where I've been giving demos all day, and you literally just hand it across the table, and they put it on their head, and they hand it to the person next to them, and it's a really exciting thing that you can share pretty easily. No, it's just funny because talking about competition between Crescent Bay and Gear VR, it's not like we are a company that's divided into two divisions or anything like that. There are many more people that work in common on both platforms than work on one in particular. They both have strengths and they both have some disadvantages as well. Crescent Bay is awesome. It's incredibly high fidelity. The Epic Showdown demo that you see, that looks like you're in a AAA video game in an amazing scene. The AudioBot demo, which we had new here, it's a great way to immerse yourself in a scene where if you close your eyes and were to hear a sound over here, and if you look there real quickly and open your eyes, that's exactly where the thing is you'd think that would be there. But along the lines of the fact that it's not a competition, I mean, Gear VR, actually, we have an audio demo as well. So we took scenes from our in-house developed game Hero Bound. So there's a big waterfall outside, there's a pterodactyl flying overhead, and you hear attenuation as it gets away from you. And it was funny, when I was showing it to Nate, Nate was looking down and then looking up. Nate, what are you doing? And he was trying to get a sense of do you hear things above you and below you as well? And so there's underlying technology that works for both platforms. Especially with game engines, whether it's Unity, Unreal, we're trying to make it as easy as possible for developers to create awesome VR that works anywhere. There's obviously tons of compromises. I mean, the Epic Showdown on mobile, I think you could have that in 2021 maybe, but and realistically probably 2016 or 17. It's great because we're trying to make it as seamless as possible to just get your VR message out to as many people. So, I mean, asking about whether Gear VR is paving the way for Oculus's CV1, as we call it. I would say this: there are a lot of hypotheses that we've been able to test now since the Gear VR. Even though it's the Innovator Edition for developers, there are some non-developers who have been buying it and have been giving us pretty good feedback. There are a lot of people wondering, would anyone want to watch a movie in VR? Is it compelling? I hear stories all the time from people on long flights where they had brought multiple Note 4 batteries, and you don't have any heating problems when you're in cinema. You can watch movies for 4 hours on a battery, swap out another battery, another 4 hours. You could fly over the pond and just forget the fact that you're cramped into a tiny seat in economy. That is something that is hard to imagine if people would actually really want to do it till you find out that yes, it is incredibly compelling. So I think that we've been able to learn a lot, and these are lessons that will translate to the Rift. And same thing, I mean, doing all these demos, getting all the great feedback from people about what they liked and what they don't like, that helps inform some of the places we should stick our efforts in on Gear VR. The greatest hardware in the world is nothing without the software. So what we wanted to do with this initial store, and I found it really rewarding that a lot of the developers also wanted to get portions of their content out, and in some cases full. Like E. McNeil released the full version of Darknet, which will be for sale when Commerce is ready here soon. It was just, the whole point of this exercise of doing Gear VR initially was, can it be done? And the answer was yes, it actually can be done. Can it be done well? Actually, yeah, it's incredibly low latency. It's sub 20 milliseconds. It's got low persistence. It's not a sickening device. When we solved those things, then we said, well, what do you want to do with it? So we have a number of prototype apps that will never see the light of the day. There are others that we might want to make see the light of the day. One good example is John Carmack in a day or two put together this thing where when you put on the Gear VR and you have it on, you can look around, and I think you were tapping and it would take pictures with the Note 4 camera. So you could create a photosphere while in the headset. That's something that we didn't think needed to be polished for commercial release, and if any developer out there wants to do it, I think that's a great idea. But we could conceivably go ahead and try to do that later if we want to. John had also worked on a comic book store and things like that he's kind of tweeted about, and I think they're neat experiences. So for us, having this free store, we could have waited till Commerce was ready and launched the product then, but we thought that no pressure, where developers wanted to get some sort of demo experience out, they should. And you can run through all the content that's available on the Gear VR store if you have a few weeks of your time to just kind of spend it on there. And I'd love for that to take months or years to go through all the content. We'll get there soon. We've already had 3 submissions of apps from people, and the product's been out for 3 weeks. So that's great. And there's the mobile SDK has been downloaded a whole bunch. And some people are probably just curious, and others are looking to either take their existing DK2 games and port them over, or create something brand new. And a lot of them are Android developers who have never even worked in VR before. All these, we're just trying to equip the community as much as we can so that they can get started. We have been doing updates weekly on Tuesday. It's not Update Tuesdays. It's not something that we are going to strictly adhere to. It was just that we wanted to update occasionally, and it happened to be good to make sure everything works well on Monday, do a little extra QA, right? So I don't know if that will remain the cadence, but the plan, we wanted to get people to understand that yes, there will be regular updates. HeroBound's called HeroBound First Steps. Maybe they would take second steps or third steps sometime in the future. That is called First Steps. So that's something you could think about. Yeah, maybe there's other dungeons that could be unlocked. I mean, you're asking about DLC basically, and IAP, in-app purchases, right? And could we expand HeroBound that way? The answer is we could. Will we? I'm honestly not entirely sure. I will tell you that we have a lot of good plans for HeroBound. Jason Rubin, he founded Naughty Dog. He's absolutely amazing. He's in charge of our studios, and he really got HeroBound from a production side to where it needed to be. The developers, Andrew Welch and Ryan Rutherford, did an absolutely fantastic job. It was initially designed as a Unity demo, just to see what does it look like to have a third-person view. And when it was called VR Adventure, and then we changed the name to VR Quest at one point. Everyone who tried it said, this is really, really fun. This isn't just a Unity demo. And so based on that, we went ahead and made it into more of a full game. We have big plans for things that are good, and HeroBound is good. Feedback from Palmer about HeroBound? Sure, Palmer likes it too, yeah. I mean, you should ask him sometime. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but one of the great things about Gear VR is that we all have them lying around the office, and we share all the content. So it's something that it's not complicated. We don't need to call someone over to a computer to try it and to have a particular rig. I mean, it's literally that we put it on the store and you download it to your phone, and you can do it either with the 2D Android app, or you can do it while you're in VR. So we actually had an Anshar Wars by Oswi. You can play multiplayer on Wi-Fi. And I have this funny picture on my phone of 4 people in the office on swivel chairs, writhing, basically, fighting against each other and doing all that. And I was doing an interview in a conference room there, and I looked outside and I see all these guys laughing, and I'm like, why do people say VR is isolating? Sure, you have a headset on, but if you can bring other people, especially if they're remote and not with you, into an immersive world, then that's what we want to do. That's what I want to do with cinema. I want to be able to watch a movie with my wife or my friend sitting next to me, talking to me during the movie. I want to be able to do it asynchronously and synchronously. What if you could record how someone watched it and then be on a plane with no connectivity and still get the feeling that they were there with you? Or even better, you could be in a hotel room somewhere and do it. I'd like to allow my, John Carmack talks a lot about when VR is ready for your grandmother. My grandmother is 94 years old and lives in Baltimore. I have a son who's 11 months old. What if I could use the Rico Theta or something else and have her have a headset on in Baltimore and feel like she's at the birthday party of my son? These are things that are not science fiction. I mean, this is stuff that we could do today, and I want us to get there tomorrow. So you're asking, when is VR ready for your mom? And when is it ready for the family? And the answer is not today. That's the Innovator Edition right now, and DK2 and Crescent Bay is a prototype. I mean, there are things that need to be done before it's ready for your mom. Unless your mom is an early adopter, tech enthusiast, or developer, then it's ready for her today. We have our eye on the prize. We talk a lot to developers. We're a community founded on the great participation of them, and developers need users. If there's no users to buy the content developers make, then everyone loses. So that's how I think about all these other VR products like Cardboard, Razer, and everyone else who's doing things. Is great. The more the merrier, because we need to educate the market. Let's make sure the VR is good, but let's educate the market there. And as we get to mom-ready state, I think it will be really obvious to all of us, and we're not there today. So you're asking about the two biggest achievements for Gear VR, and so what I think is the fact that the team did an amazing job making it as portable as possible, which is being able to just hand it across the table and let others experience it. From the hardware side, that is something that just hadn't been done well before, and there was a lot of hard work from both Samsung and Oculus working on that. On the software side, I would say that the greatest achievement that we've made as a company is that we have something for everyone. Some people are floored by how great the 360 photos are. Others don't care about it. There's a experience today, which has been announced by Fox about Wild, the movie. It's a companion piece. You actually feel like, actually it's funny because at one point Reese Witherspoon's looking and you're like, is she looking at me? And then you realize she's not. And you look behind you and there's something there that wasn't there a minute ago. And that is awesome for some subset of people. Others want to play Hero Bound or want to play Elite Dangerous. I mean, so VR needs to have something for everyone. And what I think we did with the Gear VR is we did a pretty good job of putting the seeds in of a garden that can sprout. So that when it's great when there's so much there and there's an embarrassment of riches and there's thousands of applications, but even today we have dozens that we hopefully can let anyone that picks it up and try it see the potential.